Still a Category 4 hurricane as it made landfall, and I've got all the stats here to kind of go through with you. First off, 11:10 p.m. looks like the time that it was designated as making its way onshore there in the Big Bend area of Florida. That was about 10 miles west-southwest of Perry as a Category 4 storm. And to add some significance to this, this is the fourth landfall of 2024 in the United States, but this is the lowest pressure at landfall for a Florida hurricane since Michael back in 2018. You're looking at infrared satellite imagery there with still a prolific storm passing through the Panhandle, through the Big Bend area right now, just east of Tallahassee, about to cross through the state line into Georgia if it continues on that northeastward track. And it's, again, a very fast-moving system relative to several of the other ones we were dealing with. You remember all that rainfall we got from Debbie, that was in a big way because of the slow movement of that system, even though it was much weaker than this one. Thankfully, this is a fast mover, so inland flooding is not as much of an issue. It's more of the coastal flooding situation with the powerful storm and very strong winds that pushed on shore, mainly directed out of the south and southwest, and they still are. And over the next several hours into tomorrow morning, they're still going to be directed out of this direction. They're just going to ease up just a little bit in their strength, which should allow some of that surge to start to work its way back out. But that's still not favorable for just a big swing and change of things. You think of storms in the past like Ian, which quickly tracked across the state, and you saw a little bit of a change in the winds. This is going to be a little bit different with its method, or its angle of approach, I should say. The way that it's kind of tracked off to the north, it's going to take a little bit longer for those winds to start to die down and change directions. A closer look here showing what's left of the eye. Remember, we're looking at this from our radar site here in Tampa. That's why it looks a little bit weaker than when it passed us. It is still just as strong and likely stronger than when we were looking at it about 50 miles off our shoreline. That center passing right over Perry as we speak. And just as it was making landfall, I want to say about half an hour to an hour before that, we were noticing a slight jog back to the east. And as Paul was mentioning, any slight change in the action with this storm leading up to its landfall and close encounter with Tallahassee is good news for them, because that could bring down those winds just a little bit. And thankfully, they're going to be on the west side of this storm, which mitigates a lot of the impacts that they could receive. And you're kind of drawing in wind from the north rather than the south and east. Sky Tower radar showcasing still those bands passing through our area. If you step outside right now, you're going to be met with wind gusts that are still absolutely surpassing 40 miles per hour in many spots. And additionally, East Lake, St. Pete, and down into Bradenton, getting those very gusty winds passing through, specifically, I should say, when these outer squall lines are kind of pushing through the area. Within those bands, we could still see some rotating storms, and that's why a tornado watch remains in effect until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. National Weather Service extending that from the original 11 p.m. end time, and that's just because they do have confidence that some of those storms will have just enough ingredients lingering around. And if that were to happen, Paul and I will be right back on the air just to let you know if that storm is posing a threat for a brief tornado or not. Those can be so tricky with these storms, as they're pretty prolific producers of very brief tornadoes in these outer bands. Hurricane Helene here just a moment ago, producing a confirmed tornado east of that center of circulation, just outside of our viewing area to the north. At 11:20 p.m., you can see winds were tagged at 140 miles per hour with this system, as it's going to continue that track to the north and likely weaken into a Category 2 storm as it crosses the border into Georgia. That wind field still very expansive. I mentioned tropical storm force winds locally, and you can see this extending all the way down to, it looks like, Charlotte County here. This very broad wind field as this pulls off to the north. Hurricane force wind gusts in that orange shaded area, likely impacting at least the northern half of Citrus County still. But the onshore winds are still going to be the problem moving forward, and we'll also be on the bottom right of that storm, where our focus will be more on the wind gusts and wind speed rather than an approaching storm where we typically get a lot of tornadoes on the northeast side of this system. I'm going to continue monitoring this, guys, but for now, as this continues to pull away from us, we will look for the potential for surge for areas to our south to drop, but areas to the north are still going to be battling this for the next several hours.
Okay,